Hi there, I'm Angela. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back, and welcome to a very delayed episode of Friday Sews. Hi all, thanks so much for stopping in. I apologize that this Friday Sews was very delayed. We'll get into more of that here in a little bit. But first, thank you to Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room, who's the creator of the hashtag Friday Sews. I'm so happy that she has inspired all of us, whether we're making YouTube videos or watching YouTube videos or both, to share how our weeks went, both in sewing room and in life. And thanks to you guys for being here with me, hanging out. And welcome to any new subscribers. I'm so happy that you've jumped on board. I'm really thrilled that you're here. I hope that you feel welcome and that you find the sewing community to be the best, because it is. So a couple of other bits of housekeeping before we jump in. I wanted to update you guys on how my hashtag Stash Sewdown 2023 is going. I'm going to look at my notes here real quick. So I have made just 2 out of my 34 garments and used up 4.5 yards of fabric out of, I think it was 142 that I was starting with. So I'm just barely getting started, but I'll get there. I think I'm going to use that like housekeeping portion of Friday Sews each week to update you guys on how I'm doing every time I finish a garment. And then also the other thing, I wanted to make a request from you guys. If you've been hanging out with me on Friday Sews for a little while now, you know that oftentimes in the past I've done a featured channel. That's where I would take a part of my video and kind of dedicate it to maybe a newer sewing YouTube channel and focus on them and describe a little bit about their channel, just to give them a little bit of exposure and maybe some new viewers, and open you guys up to maybe you'll find a new channel that you would like to watch. So because it's been so busy here lately, I haven't really had a lot of time to watch YouTube videos very much. So I'm kind of behind. And if there are any like newer sewing channels that you guys are aware of that you would like to see me feature on Friday Sews, please put it in the comments below. I would love to do that, and I would be very thankful if you guys already have some ideas about that. So with that, let's jump into how my sewing life went this past week. If you saw my last video, you'll know that I finished my Love Notions Duet trousers. I love these pants. I have yet to wear them outside. I actually was kind of late on getting the hem done on the legs, and I ended up doing like a blind hem, but just did it by hand. I have yet to use the blind hem feature on my machine, and it's one of my goals for this year to explore more of the different accessories and feet that came with my machine. But for now, just to get these finished up, I went ahead and just put the hem in by hand on these. And so they're ready to go, and I'll be excited to wear them out somewhere. So that was my second pair of pants for hashtag Pantsuary. And so I'm done with pants for this month. We're on January 29th, I think today is. So the month is pretty much over. And I do need to move along with the rest of the pieces for my capsule wardrobe. So these pants were the first piece for the capsule wardrobe, and I have started on the second piece. And it's a vest that I'm doing. I'll put that picture of that pattern up here. I've gotten as far as just cutting out the pieces, and I think it'll be a pretty quick make. It's just a very simple unlined vest. It has like a facing that runs up the front and around the neck, and armhole facings. What I really liked about this particular one is the features on it. So the front, the way that it kind of like angles down, I thought that was pretty cool. And I'll be excited to get that made up and share that with you guys. One other thing that I've done this week that's kind of sewing related, if you saw a video that I did last year where I reviewed a project planner / journal that I purchased on Amazon, I'll put a link to that video up here. I kind of did a review of the planner, but I've only about a month ago maybe started doing entries into it. And I did decide to go ahead let me back up. So I was, at the time I bought it, I wasn't sure if I should just start documenting my makes from that point on, or if I wanted to go back like to the beginning of that particular year, like 2022, and start there. I actually decided to go back even further to, I think it was like early 2020, when I first started getting back into garment sewing. And luckily I had taken pictures of those garments and made some notes. So at this point, it's pretty easy for me to just fill that into my journal. So I worked on that a little bit this week. And what I ended up doing is ordering some prints from Walgreens, from their photo section on their website at our local Walgreens. And I'm going to pick up those prints tomorrow, and just for like the first 3 makes that are going to be in the journal. So once I get that all into the journal, like I've already written my notes in, and I'm going to get the pictures in and maybe little swatches of each fabric that I use. I thought that would be really fun. And so if you've ever wondered like whatever became of that journal, you'll get to find out. I'm going to share that with you guys. If not this coming week, then the following week. I want to get like at least a little bit of substantial content in there to have something to share with you guys. But I'm really excited about it. There's something about having like a tangible like record or documentation of what you've done, of all your accomplishments. And it's so fun to kind of like we might make scrapbooks for our kids or our pets or something like that. This is, I guess, like a scrapbook of my sewing makes. And it's so cool to look back on those kind of booklets and just to, see the progression. And it brings back memories of, oh yeah, I remember when I was working on that particular dress or what have you. And then you might start thinking, oh, well, yeah, and I made that dress to wear to my cousin's wedding or something like that. So look for that to come here very soon. And then the other thing that I wanted to share with you guys that is sewing related, I did have a viewer comment that she had asked if I had done a video showing how I made the template that I use when I make a pair of pants. And I know that I've shown those pieces in the video, but I didn't actually show the process. So I'm going to pull those back out right now and just kind of show those again and explain like how I did it in case you're interested. And then if you already remember me talking about that and you're not interested, feel free to jump ahead. So I'll be right back. So I pulled out my template here. I apologize if the paper is going to be a little crinkly. Just a little bit of background, and then I'll kind of show you the pieces. When I finally perfected like a pants fit for my own body and had made all the changes that I had done onto those pattern pieces, using like the exam table paper, like that tissuey paper, to change the pattern and get it just right. So when I make those pants in the future, the pattern pieces will already be ready. What I also did was this is just like a paper grocery store bag. I just traced it onto here, like just around, laid the pattern pieces on the grocery paper bag and then traced around and cut it out. So what I have now is, so this one is the front piece, and I've made a note on here that this doesn't include any kind of a waistband, whichever pattern I'm using calls for a waistband. This does not include that. And so what to me is the important part here is this curve here, because to me, that, for me at least, that was the hardest part of getting the fit right. And then this is generally how the waist, where it would meet the waistline. And I'm not saying that this is where it stops though, because I was limited to like the width of my grocery bag. So actually for most pairs of pants, I would have to come out a little bit wider on the actual pattern. But for this template, that really doesn't matter too much. What matters mostly is this. And the issue that I ran into, because this template was made for a pair of elastic waist, a little bit looser, roomier pants, when I used this on my duets, I ended up with a lot of extra room, like fabric in the back that I had to take in. It wasn't a big deal, but I'll have to remember that when I make the duets again or any other type of fitted trouser, that this will not exactly work for that. Like the important part will, the part that's tricky, but then it may end up like sloping in a little bit more to take off some of that fabric, cut some of that fabric out, like make it a bigger scoop, I guess, maybe, and be closer in fitting to my body. So now that I have this, I'll show you the pattern piece that I printed and taped together for the duets. So and one other thing on my template, I did also draw the grain line. Very important that. And the way that I use this is I have to make sure that my grain line for the template and my grain line for the pattern piece are parallel, that they are lined up. They don't have to be like right on top of each other, but they have to be parallel. So I know the grain is right. And the important way that I matched it up was to, at the very tip here, I matched up the point here and then made sure the grain lines on both pieces were straight. And then that gave me my crotch curve. And like I said, and then I could just cut my fabric out to match what this is. And of course, like I mentioned, it didn't work out exactly perfectly for the duets because they're a different type of pants. Of course, right here in the front and the back, that little curve worked out perfectly. It was just up near the waist that I had to make the adjustments. So I hope that was helpful for those of you that were wondering or had questions about that. And that's about all the sewing talk that I have for you. Sorry if I went on too long about that. I was trying to be clear, but if it still wasn't clear, let me know and I'll try to explain it a little bit better. And in life, it was busy, but it was mostly because I went to physical therapy 3 days this week and I went to yoga 2 days. So I'm still working heavily on trying to get my knees, work on my knees. And one of the main things that the therapist is focusing on is strengthening my quad muscles that will help with the pain in the knees. He said that would bring my knees back into alignment a little better so that they move the way they're supposed to move, and that was where all the pain in my knees was coming from. And I feel like it is getting a little better. He did say that these kind of improvements, you might just see like minute little improvements at a time, almost like barely noticeable. But over time, maybe take a few months, you'll notice it adds up. So and actually, it's been pretty strenuous. I guess I thought when I first started therapy, we would just do some stretches and it would be like that. And we do stretching, but we're also doing some serious like strength training. And Wednesday's session was so difficult that Wednesday night, I went to Target, the store, just to walk around a little bit and browse. And 30 minutes, maybe 35 or 40, I was in there. By the end of my little shopping session, I could barely walk. Like my legs were so sore and I was drained of energy, and I actually had to miss work on Thursday. So that kind of stank, but I mean, it's okay. I went back to bed Thursday morning after realizing I could barely move, and let my boss know that I couldn't come to work that day. Went back to bed and slept till about 12:30. Slept like a log. Like I had zero energy. I was drained. And then I went back to therapy on Friday and I told him what had happened. And so he understood. He said, we just overdid it. So we did what he called an active rest day on Friday's session, where we still did the stretches and a little bit of strength, but not pushing it quite as hard. And he made sure to let me know, don't plan to do very much for the rest of the day. So I went home, pretty much chilled out all day. That's why I know Friday sews on Friday. And then yesterday, Saturday, I worked at my job all day. And we were busy, so busy because it was a beautiful day here and everyone was out. So I pretty much just came home and chilled again. So here we are on Sunday morning filming Friday Sews. Thank you guys for your patience. And so, yeah, other than physical therapy and yoga, I am kind of gearing up towards seed starting time. Next weekend, I'll be starting seeds for something like I'm going to try asparagus this year and celery. I've never done asparagus, but celery I've tried and failed. So I'm going to try again. And then I probably leeks and onions will get those going too. So yeah, next weekend's going to be really busy. And that's about it. What are you guys working on this week? I hope your weekend has gone well. Hope you've had some chill out time like I have, other than working. And let me know what you're working on in the comments. I always love hearing what patterns you guys are working on. If you found any cool things to do, it's always fun to have that interaction. Thanks again for hanging out with me. I greatly appreciate it. And my next video will be out early in the week. I'm shooting for Tuesday, and I'm just going to go over what my sewing plans are for February. I've already told you about one of them, and that's the vest. I think that's a McCall's pattern. So maybe I'll go into a little more detail on that. Depends on how far I've gotten, maybe not, but I'll show you the other things I have on my sewing project planned for February. Thanks again. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.